Union.
Another question and comment which has come from a lady called Karen Huntley. She says, first of all, thank you so much for what you're doing, Marta. She really, really appreciates it, as do all the people that have been in touch with us. They have lived in Arbeláez for 5 years and absolutely love it, but they have no paperwork on their houses. And they are extremely concerned because it can see that they were told both by their lawyers and both by their builders, again, there would be no problems, etc., etc. These are homes where they live. They're maybe on very tight budgets, and they're seeing their friends, their neighbours become extremely ill as a result of the pressure and the worries. And they're obviously concerned that there doesn't seem to be anything that they can do to prevent the bulldozers coming.
Well, I come back to what I said before. I mean, I think people have to fight in the court, because you always have to go through the legal procedure.
Yeah.
But at the same time, they have to look for political support. And I think the political support has to come from the European Union first. And then the European Union can put pressure on the Spanish authorities. My view is that if, I have great expectations of success, in the sense that if political groups wouldn't support this action, people in Europe, would be able to see that the European Parliament is not here really representing the interest of the European people. So I have great expectations of success, but there is risk of failing. But I think working on the legal proceedings and working on political pressure, we should come to a point where we have some level of success and people are sort of, how would I say, at least compensated for the losses they are suffering.
Yeah.
So people also need to think that there's the issue of the importance of tourism in Spain. I mean, Spain is losing a lot of industries to the eastern countries that have joined the European Union, because the cost of labor is lower. So tourism is, if it was important before, it's becoming very important for Spain. So they cannot afford, to damage this industry, so to speak. And if, many people are affected, and I think we are talking about hundreds of thousands now.
Yes.
This obviously would have a severe impact on the tourism business. So, I mean, I would like to encourage people, though I don't want to guarantee success here. I'm doing my best.
I think everybody appreciates that. One of the things that's been mentioned as a possibility is the formation of a non-political political party. In other words, a group of people who would stand up for their own rights against the government injustices, but who don't particularly have any political affiliation to PP or PSOE or anything like that. They are just there to ensure that their rights are viewed properly.
But where would people envisage this party to operate? Within the European Union?
No, within Spain.
Well, the problem with political parties is that eventually, and it happens also here in the European Parliament, eventually the weight is on the people on the parties that are bigger. So the decisions are really, how would I say, in inverted commas, cooked between the main political parties. And these people, the smaller parties have little influence on this. I mean, I belong to the way it works in the European Union is not parties but groups. Mm-hmm. And I belong to a group which is comparatively smaller to the other. I do personally have an advantage, which is, I have confronted the European Union on corruption and fraud. So, I do represent a challenge. But, you have to be aware that in Spain or in any country, well, you have it in the United Kingdom as well. I mean, the impact of smaller parties is relatively low compared to, the impact of the Conservatives or Labour or Lib Dems. So they are the ones who really, make the decisions. So I wouldn't think that this would get people very far, to be honest.
Another thing which may give us all a little bit of hope is the fact that in one of the little villages, Calatraca, which is quite close to where we are, the local mayor and most of the council have just resigned because they won't implement the destruction orders. Maybe a few more people like that and a few more things like that might help.
Yes, indeed. If some of the authorities in these areas who have acted honestly and have probably faced pressure not to do so, if they would resign, then this would probably start to help the situation, because then at least we would limit the corruption, so to speak, and would stop this from continuing to happen. Because as we speak, this continues to happen.
Yes.
My daughter, who's a lawyer and works in Barcelona, she studied the whole problem, and she told me, that close to houses that are being pulled down, big hotels are being built. So it's a question that, the problem is not really resolved, and it's, the problem is still there, and it is increasing, so to speak.
Yeah.